welcome, one and all. Welcome into the Rant with me, Pugs Moran. We do it. The lighting sucks. I know. I don't mean to get distracted right at the beginning here, but I'm not crazy about the lighting. I struggle with the lighting. You want to know what my big problem with the lighting is? Okay. So if I do this, maybe the lighting's better, but I got that damn ring light right there, and I got another one behind me. I can hide that one by simply placing my big giant thumb-like head in front of it, and you'll never see it. But it's this one. This one is just driving me nuts, and I'm sorry. If you can put up with it, seeing me a shadowy figure here, then I can put up with it. No, but still, see, I like it better like that. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. This is the stuff that I hate. There's much that I love about the new era of digital streaming of what was traditionally talk content. Oh, Jesus, really? No sound, huh? No sound. Oh, never mind. It was Rob. Rob was. See, look, I appreciate my chatters who there's a number of you who I'm buddies with, and some of you can send me text and direct messages, and I really appreciate it when you let me know that things are wrong. But in this case, I just got derailed for a moment by Rob because Rob didn't have his sound on, and this is the experience that one comes to expect when you tune in and hang out in the chat room here. You recognize that if there's something wrong on your end, chances are, because I'm so inept at this, that it's really on my end. So Rob felt confident in going, well, it can't be me because I'm smart about this stuff. It's got to be the idiot that I'm watching. And so he sent me a direct message that said the sound wasn't on. Turns out it was. All right. It was him. We're okay. Thank you, Peter. Peter says he hears us fine. What was I talking about? Okay, so what is this show? We do it every day. We get together at noon. I'm an old talk radio host, so I don't love the cameras and all of that. And I find myself obsessing over things like lighting and all this. Like, I will tell you this. This lighting is kind of cool if I was doing a show at night, right? But I'm doing it in the middle of the day, man. It's got to be a bit brighter. It's got to be. It just doesn't fit. What do we do here? We talk about current events. We talk about, the things that you used to hear on talk radio in America. You don't hear these things anymore because most of the shit that I want to talk about has nothing to do with how you're going to vote in November. Most of the shit that I'm going to talk about has nothing to do with whether or not running an old school Belichick style 12-man formation is the best way in the modern NFL. I'm not going to talk about that stuff ad nauseum. And those are the only things that you're allowed to talk about on terrestrial radio. So we do this. We do this as a stream for the normal people, talk radio, things that have nothing to do with politics, although sometimes they do. Like, we're going to talk some politics today, but I don't care how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into policy. Why should we? The candidates never seem to. We'll talk about the other things, the cultural aspects of what we're all experiencing here. Talk radio, the way it's meant to be. We do the show in 4 parts. The entirety of it is performed as a stream of consciousness rant by yours truly. Stream of consciousness is just whatever thought is next in my head, I just go with it. I don't take breaks. I just keep talking. Some people, it could be dangerous, but I don't think I'm an asshole, so I'm not really worried about accidentally saying something asshole-like. And if I do say something asshole-like, I like to think that there's enough of my people in the chat room who will catch me, and then we'll have a conversation about it. And hell, I might even go, you know what? That was an asshole thing to say. Conversation, discourse, not name-calling, not accusing, not you're bad for saying that sentence. So that's what we do here. And the show plays out in 4 quarters, as I say, performed in a stream of consciousness. The quarters are: first, we do a segment called Antecedently on This Day. This is where I'm going to take you through all the events that have helped shape our understanding of this day. Quarter 2, birthdays, self-explanatory. Quarter 3, deads, people who went to heaven or hell. They died on this day. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, and all that kind of stuff. All right, whatever it is that you need to know about today, that comes to you in quarter four. We do the show every day, as I say, live here from the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. You can follow us and everybody else, just radiomisfits.com, 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 Radio Misfits on Facebook, Radio Misfits on Twitter. Follow. More coming from Radio Misfits Dallas. I gotta talk to people. We'll get there. We'll get there. Can't even figure out the fucking lighting on this show. Yeah, that we swear in this show. We swear on this show because I think normal people swear in real life. And this show's not for kids. Or at least not for kids who aren't allowed to say the F word. How old were you or how old was your kid when you let him start saying the F word without freaking out? I think I was about 12. I think it was 12 with me and my son. My son's 15. My son's 15, and he's a bad news bear. He talks like a bad news bear now. A little too comfortable talking around dad, which I think is good, but maybe also not great. I don't know. But he knows how to behave in public. I'll say that. He knows he doesn't drop F-bombs in public and stuff like that. But man, he is comfortable with profanity around me. And I think that started around 12. Started around 12 when he started to express himself. There was a period of time, like when he was under 4, where he used to drop F-bombs, and we loved it because it was cute, because he didn't know what he was doing. Look at the little 3-year-old. He just said he wants more fucking peas. That's hysterical. At the same time, maybe a reflection of the adults in his life that he's mimicking. I don't know. Who knows? But then you got to stop, right? You can't have a 9-year-old going around going, fuck this. Like, so that's not a thing. I don't know. I think it's around 15. Anyway, how are you guys? Let's say hi to the chat room. We got Peter in the chat room. Love you, Peter. We've got Adam in the chat room. We got Rob here. Rob is alarming me. Rob was the guy who sent me the text that said, hey, man. Who else? Let's go early. I like to go early. Who was in first today? Was it Taronda? It sure was. As far as I can tell, Taronda was first in. We got Jeff Ballard. We got the Sports Bras. By the way, we also should mention this. I don't see Barney. There's Barney. There he is. All right, we got him. Barney says his kid's around 12 or 13. Him, I'm still not allowed to say it. He's still not allowed to swear. I don't have a problem with profanity. I think profanity in context is important. One of the things that I explained to my son when he was beginning to swear, I said, dude, look, you want to swear around me? I told you these rules before. These are all dumb rules that I made up, but they seem to work. I told my kid, I said, look, you want to swear? I go, that's fine. That's an expression of emotion. It's just a form of articulation. Don't listen to people who say only dumb people use profanity. No, interesting people also use profanity. So don't worry about being called dumb. If you are emotionally moved to say something and it's just a pure expression of what you're going through in the moment, I got no problem with that. Here's an example. Little kid licking an ice cream cone. The ice cream cone falls on the ground. If that little kid goes, oh shit, I don't have a problem with that. I do not have a problem with that. It's just an emotion. He's not lashing out. However, my rule with my kid in swearing was, if you use it as a weapon against people, it's how you use words. It's not what words are. You don't ban words. You police how people use them. No, maybe that's not right either. See, stream of consciousness. I don't know. Sometimes I say shit. Point is this. He can lick an ice cream cone and have the ice cream fall on the ground and he can go, oh shit, and that's fine. But what he can't say is, I'm sick of your shit or you're full of shit, because now he's using it against people, and I just don't think a 9-year-old should be using that kind of language. Anyway, that's how I did it. I said, look, it depends on how you use it, Look, you stub your toe on the coffee table and you go, fuck, that's fine. I tell you to do something and you say, fuck off. That ain't fine. That ain't fine. See? We make distinctions. That's what we do here. Adam says, I swear like crazy around my kids. They're well-versed. Nothing wrong with that. Seriously, I don't think there's anything. I think it's all about how you use it, not about if you use it. Cam's here. Hi, Cam. Hi, Frankie B. Frankie B's here. All right, let's get down to brass tacks. You can see at the scroll down below. It is Pledge Week. We do this 1 week every month. Look, we accept tips all the time, but Pledge Week is where the show either sinks or swims. We made progress yesterday. We've got a couple of executive producers that we need to thank. And by the way, this is not any indication that they both tip the same thing. Typically on the show, the executive producer is the person who tipped the biggest. Some days it's just a dude who dropped a fin, man. Great. Thank you. Appreciate that. You're executive producer. But, other times people drop bombs, and we appreciate that as well. And I try to point that out. I do want to, however, we've got a couple of executive producers today because 2 people tipped yesterday and it's Pledge Week, and I think everybody deserves the love no matter what because that's who we are. Thank you to the Sports Bras and to Barney for tipping the show, keeping us alive, investing with their own sweat and money and pay, investing in this kind of talk radio. Thank you, guys. We are at 2:15 for the week, so we got Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We need to get as close to that 2:15, or else we haven't made our goal in like 4 months. No, actually, I do. I think I think a couple of months ago we did. I think somebody just swooped down and dropped a bomb and got us over the top at the last minute. So I can't really say that. But anyway, as close as we can get to that, guys, please help us out. Thank you. There we go. That's all I'm going to say. And thank you to our executive producers, Cece and Barney, who will be the EP tomorrow. We'll just have to wait. We'll just have to wait and see. 2:15 is the number. That's doable. That's very doable. By the way, you may have noticed that I'm drinking Gatorade after becoming a non-official endorser of Powerade. I was drinking Powerade because I enjoy the ice-cold energy liquids. The Gatorade's free here at the E-Gallery, or not free, but available to be taken when no one's looking. So I've been drinking Gatorade because it's available. Can't find any more Code Mix. Code Mix is my energy drink. I like Code Mix. Can't find any Code Mix. Code Mix. So good. Probably illegal. Code Mix is good. Can't find it, though. I saw a Facebook ad for Code Mix. I'm like, you're paying Facebook, but you're not paying me. I like sit here. I drink your stupid Eastern European energy drink on camera, and I tell everybody how delicious it is because it is legitimately delicious. And you're buying Facebook ads? You can't throw a case my way, Code Mix? Back in the radio days, I'd have a pallet of Code Mix in my driveway at home because that's how it used to work. Not with digital. They don't care. Peter says that stuff will kill you. Code Mix? What are we living for, Peter, honestly? Did you watch the debate last night? What the fuck are we living for? I have no idea why we want to live to be 100 years old anyway. So you know what? Bring on the Code Mix. Bring it on. Liquid heroin. Seriously, when I don't have it, like I haven't had it in a couple of days, I'm like, God damn, I really wish I had some Code Mix. That shit's good. Tastes like original formula Red Bull. You're old like me, and you remember when Red Bull first came in. You were like, hey, this stuff is really good. And then over the years, Red Bull has kind of changed its formula. Code Mix found it. And they like kind of mimicking that. All right. Thank you to everybody. Rodeo MT52 says, do you have monetization turned on? Nope. I don't think so. I don't know. We just take it direct into Venmo. I know there's a way to do it on YouTube. We don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do that. I'm a one-man band here. I am just, I'm a gypsy. I'm a gypsy on a street corner shaking my can, trying to get people to pay attention to me for a period of time. And if they're so enthralled, maybe they'll drop a little something. That's how this business model works. It's an immense failure. But, I'm the Henry Ford of bad business ideas. That's me. Wait, Henry Ford of bad business. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? I'm like the opposite. Because he was good. He had good business ideas. Didn't like Jews, Henry Ford, but still. Which is weird. You'd think they'd have that in common. Oh my God! Oh, look at the kind of racist shit I'm going to say on this show. That wasn't racist. That was just flat out funny. All right, let's get started. Should we start the show? Thank you once again to our executive producers, CC and Barney. Let's get started with today's rant, shall we? No, we can't. We actually can't get started with today's rant because I don't have the proper page pulled up. One-man band. Here we go again. All right, hold on. Just sit tight. Like this is a big problem for you people. You sit here, you stare at me. I look like a thumb. I'm in front of an American flag, like I'm one of them fake patriots. Once again, I use the American flag, just for those of you who may not be aware. I use the American flag because I believe the American flag has been co-opted by people with ulterior motives. And me, as a moderate, a dude right in the middle, why can't I love America? Why can't I have the flag? Hell, if it's going to make some of you stupid people think, I can trust him because he's got the flag, then, all the better. But I like the flag. I think it's a beautiful flag. And if you got a problem with it, them's fighting words. Byron, get him. I don't know. I'm not going to fight anybody. I'm an old man. Hold on. I'm pulling up my notes, okay? That's right. This show isn't a off-the-rails stream of consciousness. There are actually notes. There are actually something. Come on. That's it. I'm gonna do battle with Google Documents right now. Okay, fine. We'll do that. Let's get started. It is the rant for the second day of October, year of our Lord 2024. October 2nd is the 275th day of the 276. I fucked it up already. That's what happens when you cut and paste these stats. Sometimes you don't erase the one you're not supposed to say. 276 days. 276 pages of paper are in the wastebasket underneath your calendar. 90 remain until New Year's Eve, so get those New Year's Eve plans started. As we like to do around here, 4 quarters, as I told you, we'll get started with antecedently on this day. These are events that occurred on this day in history that have helped shape our understanding of what we can expect today. Maybe. Who knows, right? Probably not. Like this. We shouldn't be expecting this. Antecedently on this day in 1766. I'm just reading it because it sounds like a good time. On this day in 1766, the Nottingham cheese riot. Yeah, there was a cheese riot in Nottingham. Isn't that where Peter Pan? Nah, it's not Peter Pan. Who's the dude? Who's Robin Hood? That's him. I couldn't think. Peter Pan and Robin Hood, they dress alike, right? So in my old man brain, I was like, green dude running around. The Green Giant. Nope, that's not it. Peter Pan. No, that's not Robin Hood. 1766. On this day, the Nottingham cheese riot occurred. It breaks out at the Goose Fair, celebrating geese. At the Goose Fair in Nottingham. This was in response. Are you ready to this? Ready for what the riot? This is the price of cheese. The price of cheese, ladies and gentlemen. It was just, cheese to me seems like a luxury. So when the peasants revolt against cheese prices, I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking. That's just a funny thing. I just, 1766, the Nottingham cheese riots at the Goose Festival. That's, that adds it. Goose Festival. On this day antecedently in the year 1780, during the American Revolution, Major General John Andre, a British Army officer, is hanged as a spy by the Continental Army. John Andre. Sketchy what I know about Major Andre and his execution as a spy. Of course, famously, we know about Benjamin Franklin. I almost said Benjamin Franklin. I mean, Benedict Arnold. Famously, we know about Benedict Arnold, the hero of Ticonderoga. That's right. Don't just judge a man by one act. Look at his entire resume. Benedict Arnold did some shit for us before he betrayed us. But, got to weigh it equally. John Andre, I only know about John Andre from, again, and I'll make reference to the AMC series Turn. Turn was such an incredible, historical, dramatic series about George Washington's cadre of spies that were the Culpeper, the Kuiper ring, the Kuiper ring of spies. They were like the earliest idea of what a United States intelligence agency would be. They were the spies during the Revolution. It's great. And Major John Andre had a major role in Turn. If you've never seen Turn, it's so good. Again, I'll tell you, the greatest portrayal of George Washington ever in Turn. That dude was badass. And by the way, the dude who played George Washington in the HBO show Adams, you remember Adams? That's the second best George Washington. That dude's also really cool as George Washington. But I like the dude in Turn. I like the way I liked him. Anyway, Turn. I don't know where you can find it. Probably like MGM Plus. I don't know. It's probably streaming on one of the platforms that I refuse to pay for. Anyway, there you have it. On this day, John Andre, a British Army officer, is hanged as a spy by the Continental Army. Antecedently, on this day in 1789, the United States Bill of Rights are sent to the states for ratification. Hey, hey, we got rights! Antecedently, on this day in 1835, Mexican troops attempt to disarm the people of Gonzales, Texas, but encounter stiff resistance from a hastily assembled militia. Let's go, Texas independence! Yeah, they came in, they fucked with the town, and the town's police were like, whatever, we're overwhelmed, but then here come the boys from the hills. Here they come, pushing you Mexicanos back across the Rio Grande. I don't know what this is about, whatever. I fell into a hole of Texas independence pride, and here we are. On this day in the year 1970, an aircraft carrying the Wichita State University football team, some administrators and supporters, crashes in Colorado, killing 31 people. I don't think I know this one. I don't think I know this one. Like there's a number of these plane crash situations that involve sports teams. It seems like soccer teams, this happens a lot to them, not in America, but, in other parts of the world. We know about Marshall, Marshall University, their whole football team was devastated in a plane crash. They made a movie about it. I don't know what was the movie called. Remember Marshall? I don't know, something about that. I don't know. Was it Matthew McConaughey? Was he in that? I don't know, whatever. Years ago. Wasn't a particularly great movie, but it was a story that I remember. This one I don't know. Wichita State. Who is Wichita State? Are they no, Akron is the Zips. Who is Wichita State? The Twisters? Seems like they should be something tornado related. I don't remember this story, but it's a terrible story. And I'm honestly surprised that, could you imagine if during the World Series a plane carrying the American League squad crashed? I mean, this isn't on that level. Or even just during the regular season, like a baseball team or a football team. I don't know. Terrible story. We're going to move on because, we don't need. On this day, let's move on to something lighter. On this day in 2002, the Beltway sniper began his attacks in and around Washington, D.C. The killing spree that went on killed 10 people over the course of 3 weeks. This is John Muhammad and his little sidekick, Lee Boyd Malvo. Remember them? They were just shooting people. This is like the most twisted form of domestic terrorism, where there doesn't seem to be any reason behind it other than I'm just pissed and I feel like, I can't make it in this country. And that's kind of what John Muhammad was. He was just kind of a nutbag who felt, he didn't get what he deserved or whatever. And this Lee Boyd Malvo was just a kid, man. He was just a dumb kid. What was their relationship? Their relationship was something strange. Not gay or anything. I don't know, but I don't like, that's not what I think of. They were hiding in like the trunk of a car. Remember they had a car? And they had cut a hole out where the lock goes to the trunk, and they would stick the gun through, and they would just shoot people waiting at bus stops. Someone gets out of their car to pump gas, they're getting shot. My God, that is the most insidious form of domestic terrorism. We don't know why, and we don't know when it's going to happen, and it's not like you just showed up at a mall and did it all in one. This went on for weeks. I don't know why that got applause, but it did. That was on this day in 2002. The Beltway sniper began his spree. Antecedently on this day in 2018, the Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi is assassinated in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. I didn't like that. Didn't like that at the time. We just let it happen. We just wait, what? America reporters over there, and you guys killed them, and everyone knows you killed them, and you're basically telling us through back channels that you killed them, and we're not doing anything? Fuck. But whatever. We moved on as a nation. Let's go to quarter two. Birthdays. They say it's their birthday. I have no way of knowing for sure. I didn't talk to their mothers. I didn't chase down their records in the county offices where they were born. I don't know. Here's what I do know. I do know that this dude, born on this day in 1890, is one of the funniest mofos who have ever walked the planet. Now, I'm a snob when it comes to comedy. I think that I know comedy better than you, or at least most people. Yeah, I'm a And everybody, by the way, that's not to say that you don't know it better than me. You may, but this is just from my own perspective. I like comedy, and I have opinions about the greats. I tell you all the time that the greatest comedic actor ever is Peter Sellers. There's nobody better than him. I tell you all the time that the funniest stand-up comedian, funniest stand-up comedian, the best, the greatest stand-up comedian of all time is Bill Hicks. That's another one of my I'll die on that hill arguments. But here, what about wit? What about being quick? What about the one-liner that just fucking slays you? There is nobody better than the guy born on this day, and that is, of course, Groucho, ladies and gentlemen. Groucho of the Marx Brothers. This dude was funny. This guy's humor is absolutely timeless. And I've tested it on my kid. I used to show my kid Groucho shit. Like we watched Duck Soup and all this stuff when he was like 6, 7, 8 years old. Just because I didn't want an over intellectualization. Whoa! Of what he was seeing. I just wanted raw comedy to wash over him. And so, we watched a bunch of things. We watched Three Stooges. I was not a big Three Stooges fan ever, so I probably didn't sell it that hard, but he didn't seem all that interested in the Three Stooges. You know what he liked? He liked the Marx Brothers. He liked just watching the Marx Brothers. In fact, there's a scene, he was probably 8, 9 years old. There's a scene from, I don't know if it's Duck Soup or A Day at the Races. It's when they're on the boat. If you're familiar with Marx Brothers movies, they're in a cruise ship, and they've got a very tiny cabin. And it starts out with just, I think, Groucho in the cabin, and then somebody knocks on the door. And anyway, by the end of the scene, there's probably 100 people in this tiny cabin that is only built for like 3 or 4 comfortably. And it's just funny. They're passing people over the heads. It's funny. My kid at like 9 years old recognized that. He's like, man, they're funny, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, this is funny. So I want to show you an example of Groucho. He was the quickest wit there ever was. His one-liners are just timelessly funny. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through this. I found this on YouTube today. I'm like, man, there's got to be a good example of what Groucho was for people that really don't appreciate how quick and how funny he was. This is his whole bag. Just the one-liner that just crushes you. Pretension. Groucho was a guy who, if you were pretentious, he was going to make mincemeat out of you. Here you go. On this birthday, born on this day, in 1890, the great Groucho Marx. Let's watch some of this stuff. This dude's funny.
Why, I've never been so insulted in my life.
Well, it's early yet.
He's had a change of heart.
A lot of good that'll do him. He's still got the same face.
I welcome you with open arms.
Is that so? How late do you stay open?
This lady is my wife. You should be ashamed.
If this lady is your wife, you should be ashamed.
She looks as healthy as any woman I've ever met.
You don't look as though you ever met a healthy woman.
What?
Haven't we seen each other somewhere before?
I don't think so. I'm not sure I'm seeing you now. It must be something I ate. I could dance with you till the cows come home.
Yeah.
On second thought, I'd rather dance with the cows till you come home.
I mean your eyes. Your eyes. They shine like the pants of a blue suede suit.
I want you to hold.
What?
Oh, hold me closer. Closer. Closer.
I'll hold you any closer, I'll be in back of you.
Oh, why can't we break away from all this? Just you and I, and lodge with my fleas in the hills. I mean, flee to my lodge in the hills. And you can say it was a real love match. We married for money. Eh, my shrinking Violet? Say, it wouldn't hurt you to shrink 30 or 40 pounds.
Oh, you impudent cat.
Why, you're one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, and that's not saying much for you.
Why don't you marry me?
Why, marry you?
You take me and I'll take a vacation. I'll need a vacation if we're going to get married.
But you're the man I've been dreaming of.
What do you eat before you go to bed?
Yes, I don't think I've ever seen 4 more beautiful eyes in my life. Well, 3 anyway.
Remember, you're fighting for this woman's honor, which is probably more than she ever did.
Why don't you go home to your wife? I'll tell you what, I'll go home to your wife, and outside of the improvements, you'll never know the difference.
Can you?
All right. That's all we need. That's all we need. He was so funny. He was just so funny. What was the one there that I really liked was Don't Worry, I'll Fight for Your Honor, which is more than you've ever done. That's funny. Don't worry, I'll fight for your honor, which is more than you've ever done. Groucho Marx, born on this day in 1890. That dude's funny. That dude is just funny. Born on this day in 1937, another guy, accidental comedian, Johnny Cochran. 1937, Johnny Cochran, OJ lawyer. The glove doesn't fit. You must have quit, right? Wasn't that his thing? Excuse me. Born on this day in 1937, Johnny Cochran. Born on this day in 1945, Don McLean. Don McLean. A long, long time ago. American Pie. Oh, my God. Well, Don McLean, like in the 90s, like he never went away. He just milked that one song forever. But like in the 90s, he would like come through town and he would play like Wednesday night. See Don McLean, American Pie. You know, they'd really promote it. And Don McLean played at a bar called Sluggers, where I where I worked for a period of time. But this time I was just hanging out. And we were there for the Don McLean show for some reason. And I don't know which friend it was, but God, I want to say it's a guy named Kurt. It was so funny because this is such a Kurt thing to say. But we're sitting there and Don McLean gets on stage and he opens with American Pie, which, you know, is pretty good. And it's very quiet. And he goes, a long, long time ago. And there's like a smattering of applause. People are like, oh, I can't believe that he's. And then as the smattering ended, and again, I think it was Kurt, he goes, ugh, what else you got? Like, not this song. Anyway, it was funny. It was funny to me. I always think about that. What else you got? Nothing. He's got nothing else. This is it. This is his song. Anyway, Don McLean. What are the biggest beatdown songs of all time? Chat room, help me with this. And I'll go through a little bit of a list here in my head, and you guys can contribute when you think of them. Beatdown songs, like songs that you're just like, oh God. Like I'll tell you, American Pie, I think might be number one in the beatdown songs. Just songs that are like, oh God. Number two, I'll tell you what number two is. Are you guys familiar with Meatloaf, Paradise by the Dashboard Light? Oh my God. That is number two in my beatdown song draft. Yeah, why not? Let's do a draft. All right. Number one beatdown song of all time, American Pie by Don McLean. I'm gonna die on that hill. Number two, Paradise by the Dashboard Lights by Meatloaf. Okay, that's a beatdown song. No, we're not. No. Number three is probably going to be Time Warp by the Rocky Horror Picture Show weirdos. Time Warp. Let's do the Time Warp. No, let's not. That song's lame. You're a dork. Where are we at? What is that? 3? What do we got? We got 3. Byron Granger checks in with Hotel California. Kevin Barber says, we saw Don McLean at the Heartthrob Cafe. Was it the Heartthrob Cafe or was it Sluggers? I mean, they're in the same mall parking lot, but I thought it was Sluggers. Maybe it was. Were you there, Kevin? God, I wish I had better memories. But doesn't that sound like a Kurt thing to do? To just go, come on, what else you got? American Pie? Nobody wants to. I want to hear the new stuff. Nobody's in that. Frankie B says Midnight Special. He says that song goes on forever. Byron Granger says Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Screw off. Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is a Great Lakes anthem, you son of a bitch. Hell no, that's not a beatdown. You know what it is, though? Here's another one I'm going to add. Sweet Caroline. Sweet Caroline. Bum, bum. Nope. Not interested. How about Freebird? Is Freebird there? Is Freebird a beatdown song? Does Freebird? I think it might be. Except I, over the years, have found a new appreciation for just the absolute mastery of the song Freebird. Like, I can see how it would have made my beatdown list for a bunch of years, but I don't think I put it on my beatdown list anymore because now when I hear Freebird, I'm like, okay, I get why this is cool now. This is kind of awesome. Sports Bra says, God knows, Sweet Caroline. Byron says, is Byron talking about Hotel California? I mean, I can see how that's a beatdown. How about some other ones, like some other songs that I just can't handle? Like one, I don't even want to mention this because it's a one-hit wonder, and it was just a song that I could not stand. It drove me nuts. It reminded me of the absolute worst time in my life. Well, not actually, worst time in my life up to that point, because I was like 16 working a job I hated. I worked in the storeroom of like a women's clothing store, and they treated me like Igor. It was like the worst experience of my life as a young man with jobs that I hated. And I had plenty of jobs that I hated. But there was this song called Captain of Your Heart. I don't know if you guys remember that song from like the mid 80s, but I used to have to sit in the back of this hot storeroom putting like security tags on new blouses as they came in, through UPS. I'd open the boxes, I'd tag them with the new thing. And I was stuck in this back room, and they had a playlist of songs that they used to play over and over again. And there was only like 5 of them. And this fucking song, Captain of Your Heart, was one that came on all the time. And I swear to God, I don't know if I had depression before this moment, but I sure as shit was like, no. Too long ago, too far apart. No, I couldn't say another day for the captain of your heart. That is how the song goes. I'm not like playing down the emotion or the presentation. It is just such a flat, lame song. I was like, oh God. Rollin' by Limp Bizkit is another another song suggested for the beatdown songs. I don't know. See, like that whole era, like there are. I would put Rollin' more in guilty pleasures. See, a beatdown song is different than a guilty pleasure. Like I take immense pleasure whenever I hear Kid Rock's "Bow It About a Bang." That song just takes me back, and I feel guilty about it because it's such a meatball song. But I enjoy it, so I wouldn't call it a beatdown. The experience of listening to that isn't a beatdown so much as it is shameful. But yeah, Captain of Your Heart is a beatdown, but it's not a big enough hit. I'm trying to think of anything else. Oh my God. Cheer Up Charlie from Willy Wonka, Byron Granger says, is a beatdown song. Kevin and I worked a really bad job together. International home marketing. Oh my God. We were like 15, 16 years old doing telemarketing calls from this sketchy ass warehouse district. Some weird like warehouse building that was converted to a call center. And it was just 2 high school kids trying to make beer money for the weekend. And then a bunch of really sad adults. Just like really sad adults. And that was another one that I just kind of went, oh, life is going to be hard. You better find the things that make you happy, because Mama B says It's a Small World is a beatdown song. I could see that. It's a small world. Like being trapped at Disney. That's for darn sure. All right, that's it. We're going to move on from the beatdown songs. But I would put American Pie at the top of it for me. And I understand that this may be a generational thing because my generation, Gen X, was subjected to that song probably with more frequency than any other generation, other than the generation that claimed it as their own, which would be the boomers. And they may not even consider it a beatdown song. But I assure you, boomers, your children do. Let's move on. Born on this day in 1949, Richard Hell. Richard Hell, ladies and gentlemen. Who likes the punk rock? Punk rock was something, again, that I came into very late. I didn't discover punk rock until I started working in alternative radio. So I was like in my late 20s when I started to discover like seminal punk bands like the Germs, like who else? Well, Chicago, we had Naked Ray Gun. I didn't even appreciate Naked Ray Gun until like 10 years after, they were gone. Anyway, Richard Hell is one of the most important punk rock icons in the history of American punk rock. Television is probably his most famous band. The Neon Boys. He was also in Richard Hell and Void. Punk rock guy. Richard Hell, by the way, his real name, Dick Meyer. That's right. Born Dick Meyer. He was known as Dick Meyer, and then he changed it to Richard Hell for punk rock. Richard Hell, born on this day in 1949. Born on this day in 1950, Mike Rutherford. Mike Rutherford of Genesis. Mike Rutherford of, oh my God, we just stumbled across another beatdown song. Mike and the Mechanics, Living Years. Ew! Oh my God! The Living Years. There you go. I was looking for like some 80s beatdown songs. Mike and the Mechanics, The Living Years. That song sucked. You know what that song reminds me of? There was this weird, I wouldn't even call it emo, but I guess maybe in retrospect we would say it's a precursor to the legitimate emo sound and genre that would come after. But there was this like really bummer kind of vibe music that was popular for a couple of years in the mid 80s. Mike and the Mechanics, The Living Years is a good example of that. Ugh. You know what another one is? Do you guys remember a song by the Dream Academy called Life in a Northern Town? That is a beatdown song. Hey na 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 na, shallow bit lob it up. Hey na na na, hey hey. Life in a northern town. Oh, that one's painful. That's like in that weird 80s genre where like, everybody take your Quaaludes because they're going away. And every song was, oh, it fits with the other one I said, Captain of Your Heart. Only the Lonely by the Motels. That's another song that's got just a whole vibe and energy that I don't like. Only the Lonely. No, thank you. Seasons in the Sun. Kevin Barber with another good one. We had joy, we had sun, we had visa. Can I add another one to the beatdown song? Boy, this is just going to be a show where we're gonna drop in beatdown songs as we think of them. Kevin, you just opened up a whole new door for me. Seasons in the Sun, that one sucked. But how about Cats in the Cradle? Oh, my God. Can we turn that song off, please? What are we doing? And then there was another song when I was little that always made me sad about a dead horse. What's the song about the dead horse? There was something else. There was some song from the 70s about a dead horse. I don't know. I was little and I listened to lyrics from a young age and I was like, did the horse die? The horse died. I don't know. I don't know what that song is. I don't need to remember it. I just thought of it. It's called Wildfire. I've been calling wildfire. I've been calling wild. Oh, my God. Yeah, Byron's got it. Wildfire. About some dude's horse that got loose and it never came back. I gotta tell you, to a 5-year-old, that was pretty traumatizing. I didn't see that depicted in any of the cartoons I was watching. The horses always came back. And not in that song. That song was sad. All right, born on this day in 1950, Mike Rutherford, he of Mike and the Mechanics, a beatdown band, let's just say. Well, also Genesis. Did I bury the lead on that? He's in Genesis, which is why he was allowed to form a beatdown band and everybody bought the record because they're like, it's the guy from Genesis. It can't possibly be a beatdown. And then it was. Born on this day in 1954, one of my favorite people. I love this lady. Even though I have to be honest, in rewatching her work, I do tend to fast forward through any scene that she's in, only because I feel that her contribution to the greatest series ever in the history of television is only meant to be appreciated once. You watch it the first time. I'm talking about Lorraine Bracco, the great Lorraine Bracco. She, of course, played Dr. Melfi on The Sopranos. My pro tip for people when they're re-binging The Sopranos. The first time you watch The Sopranos, you need all of the therapy visits. You need, because there are two parts to The Sopranos. There's Tony on the street being a boss, which is awesome. And then there's him dealing with the emotional and psychological ramifications of what he does in his job once a week when he sits down with Dr. Melfi. The first time you're watching The Sopranos, if you've never seen it, you must watch the Dr. Melfi stuff. It is all incredibly important to understanding who Tony is. But I've been binge watched the Sopranos like 3 or 4 times now, all the way through. And what I found makes the show move even quicker for me now in rewatches is just whenever he's in the therapist's office, fast forward. Fast forward. You don't need it. Why? Because I've seen it the first time. I understand how conflicted he is. I don't need to know. Like, I don't need to see how the sausage is made again. I get it. I understand the breakthroughs and all that. I know who Tony is. I've seen it a couple of times. Dr. Melfi, Lorraine Bracco, interesting story about her playing Dr. Melfi. And she's great in it. She's great. Sexy. She's sexy. Never even thought she was sexy before. Lorraine Bracco was originally cast in The Sopranos to play Carmela Soprano. Why? Well, because it was a no-brainer in 1997 when they were casting, and putting The Sopranos together. It was a no-brainer because Lorraine Bracco had just come off an Academy Award-nominated performance as Karen from Goodfellas. She was Ray Liotta's wife. She was Karen. She was Karen in Goodfellas. And so the people creating The Sopranos went, that would be a gold mine if we could get the woman who played Karen in Goodfellas to play, the Soprano wife. So she came in and she read for the role. And they cast her and they said, you're it, Lorraine. You don't have to do it. We love you. You are exactly what we're looking for. And she said, look, I don't want to play this person. I don't want to play. I would much rather play the psychiatrist. And she said, can I read for the psychiatrist? And they're like, well, we've already got Marissa Tomei cast as the psychiatrist. Marissa Tomei is going to be the psychiatrist, and we want you for Carmela. And she read for Melfi, and they decided to go with Melfi. They decided to go with her as Melfi, Lorraine Bracco. And then they found, just on the HBO lot, they found Edie Falco, who had come from Oz. That's what she had done before that. And she became Carmela, and that is perfect. I mean, imagine that. Because Lorraine Bracco came in and said, I don't necessarily want to play Carmela, I want to play Melfi. They were kind of in a lurch now, though. They're like, who do we get to play Carmela? And they just tripped over their dick into the Meryl Streep of television. Edie Falco is the Meryl Streep of television. And they're just like, anybody want to play Carmela? And she stepped up and she crushed it. Marissa Tomei, of course, would be recast in the series. I think it's season 3, where she plays one of Tony's Gumas. I believe a Guma that Tony kills. Spoiler alert. Tony's not a good guy. All right, born on this day in 1954, Lorraine Bracco. She's awesome. Born on this day in 1970, here's somebody else who's awesome. Boy, I always loved this chick. I had a crush on her very early on, and then I watched her star rise. She used to do the old Pugs and Kelly show with me and Kelly a couple of times before she really blew up. But we liked her, and she was cool. And it's Kelly Ripa's birthday. Kelly Ripa, born on this day in 1970. Now, I say that I liked Kelly Ripa back in the day because do you guys remember, maybe this is just a Gen X, but Kelly Ripa was the star. She was in my book of an old TV show that used to be on after school called Dance Party USA. Dance Party USA was a dumb 80s thing where, kids would come home from school because it was cable. So now we had like 50 channels as opposed to the 3,000 we have now. We had 50 channels. That was up from 3 or 4. So that was good. We were feeling very modern. And we found on USA Cable a show that was in Philadelphia. It was an after-school dance party in the grand tradition of Philadelphia after-school dance parties. And that is a grand tradition in Philadelphia. They invented the American Bandstand and all of that. So the modern 1980s reinvention of that was a show called Dance Party USA. And on Dance Party USA, there was a rivalry between two hot girls who showed up to dance at the dance party. And the rivalry was between Princess, I don't know if you guys remember Princess, and Kelly. Kelly, of course, would go up to be Kelly Ripa. But Princess was a bitch. Can I just say that Princess was a C word? Princess, they were different types. They were both kind of hot. Kelly Ripa was hot. Can we be honest? She was hot at like 16. And it's fine to me to say it because I was like 16, 17. I'm like, I'd date her if we were in high school together. You'd be so lucky to date her. I know. But Kelly Ripa was my favorite. And she was like the good girl. She was the good girl with a little bit of sass because Kelly Ripa's got sass. Princess was kind of big old 80s whore. She was like dressing like Madonna and she was like Princess would do shit with you. Kelly Ripa wouldn't, but you'd be like, that's okay. I'll have the picture of me in this like incredibly hot chick for the rest of my life. Anyway, let's move on. Here is some Kelly Ripa. Here is an example of Kelly Ripa from back in the day on Dance Party USA, something we used to run home from school to watch, not because we dug it, but we used to just like to make fun of it. Let's watch.
It's our special guest. He's 21 years old. He's only been in the USA for less than 24 hours. He flew in last night. His single, Never Gonna Give You Up.
All right, can I just point out now, in case you're looking, this right here, this big-haired 80s girl, this is Kelly Ripa, our birthday girl. Let's watch her. I think she's going to ask a question to Rick Astley.
Has gone to #1 in 11 countries. In fact, it was the #1 single in England in 1987. Would you please welcome RCA recording artist Rick Astley? Hello, have a seat. As you can tell, we are really glad to have you with us today. We've been dancing to your song for quite some time, and we're...
Can I just, I got a couple questions. Hi, Pugs here. A couple questions concerning Rick Astley. We all know that his career has lived on as a meme, or as I don't know, Rick Roll and all that kind of stuff, so good for him. The reality of him is that he had a couple of hits for a couple of years in like the 80s, and then nobody ever heard of him again for 30 years until, like, you know, viral stuff started Rick rolling. So whatever, that's not, no begrudge, man. He's fine. Never gonna give, never gonna give. I mean, he's fine, whatever. They were stupid pop hits. But can I just say about Rick Astley, I don't remember him being a sharp MFer. He is a sharp-looking MFer with the tight hair and the suit, the black suit with the turtleneck. I always thought of him as like a skinny, is he gay? I don't know if I always thought Rick Astley was gay, but this Rick Astley here, he looks like he could take old Kelly Ripa home if he wanted.
Thrilled that you're here. Your album is called Whenever You Need Somebody. The single is Never Gonna Give You Up. I've got 3 of our lady regulars seated to my left, ready to throw some questions your way. Are you ready, Rick?
I'm as ready as I'm going to be, yeah.
All right. First young lady is Tina.
Hi, I was wondering, what advice did the people in England give you before you came to the United States?
That you're all pretty up people, you know, that you're quite excitable and things. I think that in America people are a lot more open, I think, than what they are in England. You know, people are a lot more reserved in England, so, but I don't think you can prepare yourself for you lot.
All right, I got a question here. Those of you who know my history and my obsession with the thing I call the Hollywood Clone Factory, is it possible that Rick Astley and this Ed Sheeran kid come from the same line of clones? Is that possible? Think about it.
Okay. This young lady, second question is...
Here comes Hot Kelly. Look at Kelly. I love this. All the other chicks here, they're wearing like jean jackets and shit. Kelly's dressed like she's going to prom. She looks awesome.
Kelly.
What they are in England, you know, people are a lot more reserved in England, so, but I don't think you can prepare yourself for you lot.
Okay. This young lady with the second question is Kelly.
Hi, Rick. I know that in England, teenagers are almost always referred to as belonging to a specific group, like punks, skinheads, or teddy boys. I was wondering, when you were a teenager, did you belong to any specific group?
Just for a second here, let me go back. Ladies, and I know we men, we were complicit in this. The fuck's going on with your hair in the 1980s? That hair is terrible. That hair looks terrible through today's lens. I'm like, oh, it's like when you look at like a chick that was supposed to be hot in 1940 and you just can't get past the fact that the hair is so distracting. You women in your hair.
As belonging to a specific group, like punks, skinheads, or teddy boys.
All right, there you have it. There she is. That's Kelly Ripa. She's cute. It's her birthday. Okay, I got more weird Kelly Ripa stuff. Okay, so I want to show you one last thing. Just because I fell into a hole this morning, a Dance Party USA hole. They used to do like these spotlight dances on the show where a dude and a girl, like a regular dude and a regular girl, they would like hook up and they would dance. And it would get all of us like in a tizzy watching because we'd be like, wait a second, why are they dancing? What, they're not supposed to be dancing. Oh my God, Princess is going to be so pissed that Kelly is dancing with Brock. It was that kind of a vibe. So anyway, watch this weird dance. Kelly Ripa doing a weird dance here on Dance Party USA.
Okay, couple number 1 is Kelly and Mike. Kelly says she counts on her boyfriend to be by her side. Meanwhile, Mike says he looks for his mom to be right there by his side.
Oh, okay, all right. That's a red flag. But anyway, look at this weird, crazy ex-girlfriend look that Kelly Ripa's giving this dude. fucking weird. That's not real.
All right, here's Holly and Joe.
All right, that's enough. Kelly Ripa, it's her birthday. She was fun. She used to be Kelly on Dance Party USA. That's it. That's all we're going to do. Those are all the people. That's the birthdays. We're going to celebrate. We're going to celebrate no more. Hold on, I'm back. I see you. Let's go into the deads, right? Time to talk about people who died. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. This is a list of people who passed away on this day. What we're going to do is we're going to decide, based upon what we know of their life, whether they went to heaven or whether they went to hell. Let's start off. Dead on this day in Dead on this day in 1803. How about Samuel Adams? American politician, governor of Massachusetts, a guy who is giving credit. Okay, so Sam Adams, we know Sam Adams, the beer, right? Sam Adams, the beer. When Sam Adams first broke nationally, one of the markets that they really invested heavily in was Chicago. And that was like in the early 90s. I mean, look, Sam Adams has been around. No, Sam Adams wasn't always around. Sam Adams was a small boutique beer in Boston until about the early 90s when they got some, big cash and they decided to roll out national. So anyway, our radio station in Chicago was the beneficiary of all the Sam Adams money, and it was big. So Sam Adams, we had a big relationship with him. I always had to drink Sam Adams. If I was out public or at an appearance, I had to drink Sam Adams. We would go to the Sam Adams Brewery. Jim Cook, who was the owner of Sam Adams, he became a close friend of the show. And as producer of the show, somebody that I, spent a lot of time talking with on the phone, trying to arrange bookings and all that kind of stuff. So Jim Cook is a cool guy. I like Jim. I'm Jim Cook for Sam Adams. He's a good guy. His story is that he is a descendant. I mean, I guess this is true. He's a descendant of Sam Adams. Like he's like the great, or actually probably just great nephew or whatever of Sam Adams. And he was going through a whole bunch of family archives and family stuff and stuff that pertained to his great uncle Sam Adams. And as the story goes, he found a recipe for beer. And so he was a kid just getting out of college and he went, I want to start a beer. I'm going to make great uncle's beer. So that's why it's called Sam Adams. And it's probably also why it's terrible. Oh my God, I hate Sam Adams. I know that was a long way for me to go to get to me telling you that I hate Sam Adams, but it is bad, hoppy, awful beer. The only version of Sam Adams that I find even remotely drinkable is their Lighthouse Lager, which is like their light beer. And even then, it's got to be fucking frozen just about for me to be able to drink that swill. I hate fancy beer dorks. I really do. I hate you fancy beer dorks. I would like a nice porter, I think, to balance this heavy dinner that I've had. Oh, shut up. Give me a cold Miller Lite. Is it cold? Give it to me. What do you got? Coors Light? That's fine. I'm not some bitch. And by the way, sorry, beer dorks. India Pale Ale is gross. You people are fools. You're all engaging in some kind of worldwide bit. You're all pretending that pale ale, which is the most atrocious tasting thing in the history of the world, is somehow a delicacy among the refined and sophisticated. What kind of a pale ale do you have? How about I just vomit in your mouth, you pretentious fuck? Sam Adams is gross. Byron says the winter one ain't bad. Byron would actually be right about that. Are you talking about like the cranberry one? They've got like a winter festival kind of a beer, and it's like a cranberry something. And you're right, that is not bad either. But you got to leave it outside in the snow, and you got to get it like super cold. Otherwise, that stuff is gross. Barney says Sam Adams is in the series of unfortunate events that led to the death of talk radio. Somewhere. Sports bras, sports dork or beer dork alert. Oh, I love it. It's hoppy. I love the hoppy taste. It's wheaty. It's too wheaty. It's fucking beer, dude. It's beer. American beer is the best beer in the world. You want to know why? Because it's basically water, and it gets you fucked up, and it's cold. That's why American beer is the best. No, I like a heavy Japanese mountain ale. What? What? What is that flavor? A monkey urine. It is made from hops that spend their lives being urinated on by alpaca monkeys. I don't know what I'm doing. This is a stream of consciousness. I'm just talking now. All right, Sam Adams. So where did he go? Sam Adams, Patriot, flag behind me. We're putting Sam Adams in heaven. Don't know why. I just am. Seems like a right thing to do. His beer sucks, but again, his beer sucks because he was making it in like, let's see, when did he die? He was making it in like 1830. So of course, everything you put in your mouth in 1830 by today's standards absolutely sucked. Well, that ain't true. Nah, it's pretty true. It's pretty true. Even the water. Go drink some stream water, you weird 1830 person. On this day, dead, 1985, Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson is one of the most important gay men ever. In the world of gay men. In the whole universe of gay men. I think you got Plato, right? Okay, so he's probably the most important gay man of all time. You got Plato. And then I'm going Rock Hudson. I'm saying Rock Hudson. And you want to know why Rock Hudson being gay is important? Because Rock Hudson was the first person and I don't even know that Rock Hudson ever came out or if he was outed, but I know that, he had AIDS. So it was like, connect the dots, America. But when Rock Hudson was revealed, we'll put it this way, when Rock Hudson was revealed to be gay, it made everybody who had preconceived notions about what a gay man was have to reconsider them. Rock Hudson wasn't a florist. Rock Hudson wasn't Paul Lynde on the Hollywood Squares. Rock Hudson wasn't Liberace. Rock Hudson was kind of a badass. He was ripped. He was handsome. He was a lady killer. Every woman in the country was like, oh, Rock. His name was Rock Hudson. I mean, that's like a dude name, man. You draft a Rock Hudson in the first round just because of that fucking name. So when it was revealed that he was gay, a whole lot of people had to go, wait a second. Dudes who could probably kick my ass are gay too? Huh, isn't that weird? I never considered that. I thought they were all a bunch of Charles Nelson Rileys and Paul Lyndes. I guess not. But the guy on Too Close for Comfort, he's still gay, right? I could kick JMJ Bullock's ass. I know I could do that. Rock Hudson, dead on this day in 1985. I'm putting him in heaven because I like Rock Hudson as an actor. I thought he was pretty cool. I always thought he was pretty cool. Let's see here. Born on this day. He got the AIDS, though. He got the AIDS because, you know why? You know how every woman in the world loved Rock Hudson? Mm-hmm. So did every gay man in the world. And guess which door was open? That's what we found out. The back one, apparently. Whoa! Dead on this day in 1998. Gene Autry. So Gene Autry is like super famous to like a generation just before mine. So like boomers like know who Gene Autry is. I don't know who Gene Autry is. He was a TV cowboy guy, and I think there was like 1 million TV cowboy guys. Like, what's the difference between a Gene Autry and a Roy Rogers? Aren't they the same fucking thing? To me, born in 1969, they are. I don't know who they are. Anyway, Gene Autry, he would go on to be like super rich, and he owned the California Angels, and I don't know. I'm just putting him in hell. He's a baseball team owner. That's another like marginal prerequisite for going to hell. We have a couple of prerequisites that, in lieu of any other information that would balance the scales. If you start off as like a politician, you're going to hell. If you start off as a football coach, probably going to hell. If you start off as an actress, all actresses start off going to hell. Unless you can, rise to like an Audrey Hepburn level of humanitarian goodwill, then I make an exception. But yeah, I'm thinking this is probably important. I think major sports team owners should also start out having to go to hell. So that's where we're putting Gene Autry, because I don't know anything more about him. Gene Autry, dead on this day in 1998, went straight to hell for owning the California Angels. Born on this day, or dead on this day in 2017. I'm going to preemptively put this dude in heaven. This is one of the deaths, 2017. I remember where I was. I probably only got about maybe 10 of those in my life where I remember exactly where I was when I heard the news that this person had died, because it was shocking. And it was shocking because I'll give you an example. Like Chris Christopherson just died. He's one of my favorite dudes of all time. But I wasn't shocked. And I may not remember where I was when I heard that Chris Christopherson had died, because Chris Christopherson was in his 80s. And, you know, this dude, I remember where I was. I was waiting in line for a pizza. I was picking up a pizza at Aurelio's in Tinley Park, Illinois, 159th and Oak Park Avenue. And I was sitting in the car because I got there early. It wasn't there yet. And I was sitting in the car waiting to pick up the pizza, and I had the radio on, and I was listening to WGN. And they broke in. They didn't break in. It was a talk show. They were talking, and then somebody said, "Oh, we've got some breaking news here. Oh, this is really sad." And I remember sitting there listening to it going, what? How the hell is Tom Petty dead? How? Tom Petty? How old is he? He's like in his mid-50s, right? He's not that old. Tom Petty, don't come around here no more. Tom Petty's great, man. There's just something so cool about that dude. That dude just strikes me as one of them dudes who's just, one, unflappable, two, doesn't really cotton to the silliness. You know what I mean? Like the silly rock and roll excesses that, you know, idiots were like, yeah, let's go crazy. Like Tom Petty seems like the type to be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit on the couch and hang out with these dudes. Like Petty seemed like a cool guy. And what an incredible, incredible artist. What a body of work. What a prolific songwriter. I mean, this guy just bam, 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 hit after hit after hit. One of the greats of all time. Of course, he's going to heaven. Tom Petty. Dead on this day, 2017. Best Tom Petty song. I mean, it's almost like best Tom Petty song. It's almost like I want to default to American Girl, because that is such a great song. That is just such a... But man, I also like, you know, the damn Torpedo stuff, like the early stuff, the rockin' stuff, Renegade. Not Renegade, that sticks. Refugee. Renegade. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to default to American Girl just because I think that's just like such a perfect song in a genre. Jingle jangly garage rock, power pop-esque song. Just verse, chorus, verse, just happy, joyful. It's a good song. American Girl. Anyway, perfect job. There you go. All right, folks, that's going to do it. Those are the first 3/4 of today's show. Now let's start talking about all the things that are happening today. Once again, I want to thank our executive producers, Cece and Barney. They were the big tippers yesterday. You boys are awesome. You're part of the fabulous 15, about 15 of you that every single month come through, and you donate enough to this experimental form of talk radio. You donate enough to keep it going for another month. So thank you. Who's going to be tomorrow's Cece and Barney today? If you folks want to help us here, it is Pledge Week. You can, I'll leave the scroll down there. It'll have all the information that you need. But drop a little something, tip-wise, in our Venmo or our Cash App, and we shall fight for another month. Let's go! We're October! Big stories. Okay, what's first of all, let me check, because we live in a world, in a time, I should say, when things are changing by the minute. So let me just check in before I go with what was the top story. Well, the top story is, of course, whether or not World War III is going to start. We watched yesterday, we sat here and watched Iran launch a number of missiles, ballistic missiles this time, which is an increase from the drone attacks that they'd been doing in the past. These were ballistic missiles from a country where, with a sovereign border between them, they sent missiles into one. This is a big deal. Iran attacked Israel yesterday, and now what? Are we waiting for the Israeli response? Is that it? I'm having difficulty with the way we have seen the aggressions between Iran's proxies, and Israel play out over the last couple of months. And it's strange to me because it doesn't seem like a war so much as it seems like a bid for the headline of the day. What do I mean by that? Well, let's start from the beginning. So Israel is trying to dismantle Hamas. One of the leaders of Hamas goes to Iran to attend the funeral of an Iranian general. While he's in Iran, while he's in sovereign Iranian territory, the Israelis launch a military action to assassinate him. They blow up the house inside Iran. Israel dropped bombs inside Iran. Okay, that's a big deal. It's a big deal. But they said this is all we're going to do. This wasn't all-out war. It wasn't an invasion. We, Israel, we just needed to get this guy. So go ahead. Whatever you're going to do next, you're going to do. So now the ball was in Iran's court. And that's when Iran a couple of weeks ago sent all the drone attacks. Okay. And then nothing. And then there was nothing. And then they had us all going. So it's 1 for 1. Do you see? It's like Iran says, we have to do this. We're going to do it. And Iran goes, if you do it, we'll respond. So Israel does it. And then Iran responds. And then nothing until the next flare-up. And so now we're in the next flare-up. We're in the next stage. And this is a bit of an increase based off yesterday because, again, Iran, now we'd seen Israel attack Iran. We saw it when they went after the Hamas general. But we hadn't seen Iran attack Israel. Not to this degree. Not using the ballistic missile weaponry that they have, which is far more powerful and far more accurate and are used for creating much more damage than they would in just a typical drone attack. So they did that yesterday. Also, their proxies, as we like to say, and when we're talking about the proxies of Iran, the people doing the dirty work on the ground, because Iran is not going to put a land force in Israel. They need boots on the ground. So who is Iran using? Iran, depending on where you are, they're either relying on Hezbollah, which has Lebanese origins, Hamas, who has Gaza origins, or the Houthis now, who we're dealing with the Houthis, who are over there in Yemen. So those are pretty much the land army that Iran has been using so that they can say to the world, we haven't invaded, we haven't done anything, but the whole world knows that they're invading in their proxy. So we're waiting. I thought it would happen. Last night, Iran attacked at 6:30, 7 o'clock, right at sunset. Iran attacked in the the beginning of the nightfall, and then there was nothing. And then Israel said, we're going to respond. So this morning at about 11 o'clock, which is the time the attack started yesterday, this morning at 11 o'clock, I'm watching TV and I'm like, well, is Israel going to respond? And they haven't yet. So the world is waiting, and it could happen at any minute. The world is waiting for Israel to respond. And there you go. That's where we sit as far as waiting to see what happens with World War III. We, the United States of America, we've got a whole shit ton of stuff in the area, and we are pledged by oath and paper to defend Israel should they be attacked. And they were attacked yesterday. So I don't know, if we're a country of our word, we have to go and back up Israel should something occur now. So I imagine what's happening is the United States, through back channels or whatever, are desperately trying to get a handle on this thing. But I think the cat's out of the bag. I don't think Netanyahu, I don't think the Israelis are. I think the Israelis' military decisions happening right now, I think they are actually leveraging the situation in America with the election. I think that they are basically doing whatever they want. Because the narrative on both sides seems to be, actually, the narrative here politically is that the right is saying that the left, the Democrats, are not pro-Israel. That's not true. I mean, the Israeli lobby in this country controls both political parties. So whatever, that's nonsense. So both of our parties are pro-Israel. Yet we have an administration who officially is trying to get Israel to calm down. Now, Netanyahu knows that the two people competing, they do have something in common, and that is that they're going to let Israel do whatever the hell Israel wants to do. So that's where we are. So I don't know what Biden's trying to do with Blinken. I don't know if they're thinking they still have any sway. They don't. These people in Israel are not looking at Biden and Blinken and these people as anyone with any sway whatsoever. They are playing just like Zelensky did when he came and met with both Harris, Biden, and Trump. They're playing both sides of it. The whole world doesn't know who they need to suck up to. So what you've got now is what I guess we'll call independent rogue actions by Israel and Netanyahu, because he don't give a fuck, because both campaigns are trying to say, support Israel no matter what. So he sees an opening. So because of this, they're saying that whatever Israel's response is going to be, we shouldn't be surprised if it's fucking big. Big. We'll see. All right, so that's what's happening with Israel. Debate. Let's talk about the debate last night. Why? That sucked, man. You guys, that debate sucked. That debate was like, this is boring. I was more interested in the two chicks they had hosting it. I thought that was interesting. I thought Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan, like just two like smart Irish chicks, just like that's. And I posted yesterday on Twitter. I'm like, you don't want to get sideways. Trust me. You think these two clowns are gonna run over two debate hosts, two chicks named O'Donnell and Brennan? These chicks grew up with 5 brothers and a cop dad. You think you're going to be able to intimidate them? No, not Irish chicks. It sucked. The whole debate sucked. And if I'm being honest, it sucked because it was very policy driven. It was a smart people debate. It was a boring person debate. It was the way debates used to be. These two dudes, I stopped watching like 30 minutes in. They're like agreeing on everything. Oh, my good friend. Which, was it kind of nice? Was it kind of nice to return to that? I don't know. I kind of like the whole Trump style of debate now, where it's like, fuck you, you're fat. That's fun to me. It's all a puppet. It's all a puppet show. It doesn't matter. None of this is real. But that was boring. What was real is that was boring last night. Who won? No fucking idea. From what I've been able to tell is that everybody who wanted Waltz to win is saying Waltz won. Everybody who wanted Vance to win is saying Vance won. I don't know. I'm going to call it a push. I will say this. Got to give JD Vance credit. He is leaning into the eyeliner. He is. Come on, you guys. I pointed this out months ago. That JD Vance seems to wear eyeliner. Y'all ignored me. And then like a month or two after I initially said it, to no avail. No credit. No nothing. Then all of a sudden news media starts reporting that he's wearing eyeliner. And so I'm watching last night and I'm like, there's no way he's wearing eyeliner, right? There's no way he's not still doing the eyeliner thing. He got caught. He got busted. He shows up. He's wearing eyeliner. You know who should have been wearing eyeliner was Waltz. That guy, he doesn't look healthy. He's making all those faces like he just had a big meal at like Macaroni Ranch. Excuse me. I don't know. You got one guy, JD Vance, who spends way too much time in the bathroom trying to get his mascara just perfectly, and you got the other guy who spends way too much time in the bathroom because, you know, he takes 2-hour dumps. That's what we're looking at. All right, that's the debate. You like my hard-hitting debate coverage? You want debate coverage, go somewhere else. That's what you're going to get from me. Hey, here's a good one we can talk about. This is kind of fun. Can we discuss the longshoremen strike? Let's go! So I'm a big fan of the president of the International Longshoremen's Union. I'm a big fan of him. He's awesome. He's like, if I was a longshoreman, that's who I want as my president. A guy who goes on TV and says shit like this. A lot of people thought they caught, not a lot of people, 2 people thought they caught me yesterday. And it's like, first of all, like, this is not a deal breaker for me. People are like, well, you know, he's a Trump supporter, the leader of the Longshoremen's Union. And this is all just, you know, a bit so that Trump will get elected so that he, I'm like, no, that's not a bit. That's not how this is going to, and if he is a Trump, I don't care if he's a Trump supporter. Well, I thought you didn't like Trump. I don't like Trump. I look at Trump and I go, that dude's not a serious person. But I don't hate people who don't see it that way. You know, we all come from different perspectives, different life experiences. We all process what's in front of us differently, especially when it comes to one-on-one human interactions with another person. Just because I size someone up as being obviously broken, and I do have questions as to how you people can't see it, but whatever. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that I'm right, you're wrong, and you suck. So what? If the longshoreman guy, and then somebody sent me a picture, look, here he is with Trump shaking his hand. And then somebody else in the thread, they showed the same thing with, him shaking Kamala's hand. He's a union labor president. He's going to meet with all of them. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck. I don't believe that what's going on with the longshoremen has anything to do with the election, other than the fact that they went, now would be a good time to do it because we're going to get extra attention because of the election. But the assumption that, this is the October surprise from Trump. Trump has put the longshoremen's union, who he's got in his back pocket, he's putting them on strike to bring the economy down to its knees. Well, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen for one reason, because of, the whole Taft-Hartley thing, which means that you can, if the current president, Biden, if he wants to force him back to work, he can for 90 days. But anyway, it's just stupid. There's way too many working parts in that. And I am telling you, this dude, this Harold Daggett, this almost 80-year-old hard ass with possible mob ties, leader of the Longshoremen's Union, this is not a political thing. This guy's out there fighting for his fucking people, and I want to show you this. This went viral yesterday. This is some threats. This is some threats by the leader of the Longshoremen's Union. Let's listen to what he has to say. This is Harold Daggett. Well, first, let me give you some of the background on this. Daggett has made wage demands a precondition to open contract talks with the shippers on those thorny issues such as the use of automation on the dock. So a big thing is that he's trying to stave off automation and keep human jobs for his union, which I think is good for now, and I understand why they're doing it, but the future is automation. You're not going to be able to stop it, but right now, maybe you can get a contract negotiated that'll keep your guys in business for another 5 years, but don't think you're going to stop automation, because the automation of the docks is coming, and the longshoremen, the guys who, you got to be strong and you got to lift the boxes, those jobs are going away. That's just a fact, but they're not going away now, because these companies aren't investing the money that it would require to do that right now. So they're still reliant upon human workers. So until the automation comes, and he knows it is, he's like, fuck you, I'm going to make you pay us now. Now it's time for you to pay us, because if we walk away, you're not ready for automation. You're going to lose so much fucking money if we walk. It's about having leverage. And now is the time that the Longshoremen's Union has figured that they've got leverage, because they know they don't have 10 years left in this business. It's not going to be 10 years of being able to employ 50,000 people on the East Coast and in the Gulf. No, that number is going to be halved in 5 years, and just because of automation. But they're not ready for automation yet, so now is the time that they strike. What he's asking for is a 77% pay increase over the next 6 years, which would raise the base hourly rate for union dock workers from $69 an hour from the current $39 an hour. Port employers and ocean shipping companies initially offered a 40% increase. But under pressure from the Biden White House on Monday, the shippers increased their offer to the union to 50%. So the union is like, the shippers are like, all right, President Biden got it. And he's like, give them more. And so they came back and they said 50%. And old Harold, longshoreman's guy, this is his last contract. He's 80 years old. He's making his mark. They've got a statue to this guy at the not kidding. There is an actual 20-foot statue. It's 20 feet tall in front of the Longshoremen's International Union headquarters there in New Jersey. So they love this guy. He's been fighting for him for years, and he's going out and he's going to get them what they deserve before the entire industry goes away. Daggett said the 50% isn't enough and that the strike will continue until employers meet his demands. Daggett's work at the union has sometimes attracted the attention of authorities who have previously accused him of mob ties. So, yeah, you're goddamn right, he's probably all mobbed up. The mob controls the docks on the East Coast. Let's stop pretending like we don't know this. Well, he's got mob ties. Well, wouldn't you think that the union president of the dock workers would have to have some sort of association with the mob? I mean, we know that the mob is running the docks, right? Stop it. It's fucking how the system works. Now you're going to complain about it? Fuck you. Daggett said it isn't enough. Daggett's work at the union has sometimes attracted the attention of authorities who have previously accused him of mob ties, claims he has denied. In 2005, he stood trial in Brooklyn on wire and mail fraud charges alongside another international longshoreman official and an alleged mobster accused of steering union benefit contracts to firms that paid kickbacks to organized crime. All right, so he went on trial a bunch of years ago with another union head honcho, and a mob guy, and a dude who is in the mob. What happened with that? Well, witnesses testified that Daggett was elevated through the International Longshoremen's Union by the mob because he was an associate of the Genovese crime family. Daggett himself recounted in testimony being held at gunpoint by a mobster, according to media reports at the time. He said he was terrified of the crime families and that he went out of his way to avoid them. The 3 defendants were acquitted. Lawrence Ricci, so he was acquitted. Lawrence Ricci, the defendant alleged to be a Genovese crime family member, went missing during the trial and was later found dead in the trunk of a car. Oh, yeah. Oh, what do you think? It's all fucking sugar bombs and candy? This is goddamn New York dock workers. This is some real fucking world shit that goes on there. Yeah, it's mobbed up. Yeah, people get fucking killed. And yeah, multinational, international shipping conglomerates try to bend over the working man any chance they get. All these things can be true at once. Let's see here. Here's what Daggett says. He says, I don't have a fucking crystal ball between my legs, but this strike is going to last a very long time, I'll tell you that. All right, so I want to play you a little bit of this guy. This guy's fucking heroic to me. He is a real American. Get me the Hulk Hogan song. I'm a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. All right, watch this guy. This guy's cool. And hey, if you're a Trump guy, you can lean on the fact that maybe he's a Trump guy. Again, I don't give a fuck if he's a Trump guy or not. He's a union boss, and he's talking shit to the billionaire class, and he ain't backing down. So let's go. Let's listen to him. Here we have it.
But today's world, it's changing into the future. They're not making millions no more. They're making billions, and they're spending it fast as they make it. I want a piece of that for my men. Because when they made their most money was during COVID. When my men had to go to work on those piers every single day, when everybody stayed home and went to work. Not my men. They died out there with the virus. We all got sick with the virus. We kept them going. From Canada to Maine to Texas, Great Lakes, Puerto Rico, now the Bahamas, everybody went to work during COVID. Nobody stayed home. Well, I want to be compensated for that. I'm not asking for the world. They know what I want. They know what I want. And if they don't, well, then I have to go into the street and we have to fight for what we rightfully deserve. These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets, from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's gonna happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this.
All right, I just got to interrupt here. I love that. I love that. You want to do Taft-Hartley? You want to force me and my men back to work for 90 days so that you can have what you're calling a cooling off period in the negotiations? Go ahead. Force my men back. They're going to be the slowest motherfucking workers you've ever had. You think they're going to be busting their... I love that threat because that's real. The Taft-Hartley and the law that will force them back to work is simply a construct based on the idea that they're going to go, well, I guess I got to work again. Fuck you. This is a human issue. You can force these humans back to work. You can. You can't make them work as hard as they would normally. You can't make them give a fuck. It's just so absurd. But go ahead, let's do it. Let's go through the motions. And that's what this guy is saying. Go ahead, let's delay it for another 90 days. You'll see. You'll fucking be paying us our normal wages and you're going to be getting half the output because my men are not going to bust their ass for you while you need a cooling down period and nothing changes in their life.
Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you. And you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Love that. I will cripple you, he says. You want to fuck with us, the working man in America? We will fucking cripple you, you Greek and European and Asian global shipping man. It's fucking crazy. That is America right there. That's the power of the working man coming together behind one leader. That motherfucker, yeah, I'll cripple you. And then I see a lot of people who just, they have no idea what they're doing. Just carrying water for the billionaire class. Oh, taking up against the working man, saying shit like, oh, you're threatening. He should be thrown in jail for threatening to cripple the American economy. Dude, it's not a one-side thing. Why are you looking at him? Why aren't you looking at the shipping companies that haven't sat down at a negotiating table with these people since June? The shipping companies are like, no, fuck you. We ain't paying you. No, fuck you. They are just as responsible for whatever comes next as this guy is. But the willingness, the almost reflex to fucking turn against the working man in favor of, you see this a lot with fucking baseball players or football players, paying them how much? How much? Nobody says that about, the owner of the stadium when he decides to change the parking prices from 25 to 75. No, nobody goes after him, but it's the greedy athlete. It's the greedy, fuck you. That guy's awesome. I love that guy. That guy's awesome. And like I said, man, he is going to get a deal for his people because the economy will not be shut down. And that's what we're learning the longshoremen really do. The longshoremen. And again, if these companies had invested the money that they needed to over the past 10 years, they might be able to withstand something like this because they would have a certain degree of automation already in place where they wouldn't need the people. But the companies didn't do that. The companies paid CEOs $200 million bonuses and $100 million golden parachutes, and everybody's got 5 yachts. And meanwhile, the working man hasn't gotten a raise since the last contract, and the new raise you're offering is bullshit based on the amount of money that you guys have made. Well, that's how it is, Pugs. The owner gets to make all the money, and then he decides to pay the worker whatever he wants, and if the worker takes it, fine. Yeah, that is how it works. And what we're seeing right now is the workers not taking it and going, not fine. So fuck you. Now what happens? Pay us more. Nobody respects the worker. Nobody respects the working class. Absolutely. This country just shits on the working and the middle class because we all suffer from what I call mansion on the hill syndrome. Nobody relates to the working man. Nobody relates to their neighbor. Everybody relates to the richest guy in town. I want to be like that. One day he'll let me join his country club. One day I'll live in that mansion on the hill. Well, guess what? We can't all fucking live in the mansion on the hill. And there's a whole bunch of us here who need to at some point look around and go, you know what? I'm with these people. I'm not dreaming about being with these people because one day I hope to be there. Stop it. Stop carrying water. Tribalism. Let's bring it back. Economic tribalism. That's what I want back. I want there to be a strong middle class. I want there to be a strong working class. I want there to be a functioning upper middle class white collar economy. I want all of those things, the things we used to have. We don't have it anymore. We got fucking super rich people and people who are struggling. We are goddamn India in 1970. That's what we're heading towards. And it's happening slowly. So it doesn't happen at once. If it happens at once, we're like, oh, this sucks. No, it's just been a slow creep of bullshit destroying the working class in this country. I sound like I should be running for Congress. Let's move on. All right. Not with my skeletons, I'll tell you. Although, honestly, if fucking Lorena Boebert could get elected to Congress, I could probably... I'd never win here, though. No way. Nobody wants to hear. Nobody supports the working man in Texas. This is not a working man support state. This is a very mansion on the hill state. And I think it's because there has never been an embrace of unions here. I think it's always been, everybody works for the guy who owns the ranch. Is it that fucking mentality where it's like, I don't know. We need more support for the working man in Texas. All right, let's move on. 60 Minutes, their annual interview that happens. They always do this big interview with both candidates the week before the election. They've been doing it for 50 years, and this year, Trump ain't doing it. Trump has said, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do the traditional 60 Minutes night before the election or Sunday before the election interview. So like the election's on a Tuesday, right? So 60 Minutes on the Sunday before that Tuesday would always do their big, and now we'll sit down with both candidates. Not at the same time, mind you, but two separate interviews. Trump ain't going to do it. I don't know why. He's not going to do it. Just didn't want to do it. Okay, that's fine. Let's talk about Helene. Hurricane Helene is still wreaking absolute havoc, the aftermath, if you will, floods, no power, drinking water, it's bad for a lot of people, especially North Carolina looks now, a couple of days removed, North Carolina looks to be the state that is really suffering in the aftermath of Helene. I want to show you something. I want to show you something that absolutely moved me. Saw this woman, this North Carolina resident. She lost everything. Everything is gone. She's having to stay at some shelter. She's there with some shelter, and a news person shows up and wants to talk to her. Hey, if Harold Daggett, the guy who's running the longshoremen union with a baseball bat, that guy, if Harold Daggett is a great American, then this woman is absolutely a great American. Let me show you this chick. Let me show you this woman. Again, she has lost everything. She's lost everything. She's got her kid, and she's dealing with the media. The media is now want to know, how does it feel to have lost absolutely everything? How does it feel? Tell you what, this lady opens up a can of whoop ass. All right, here we go. This is, again, she's from North Carolina. This is a woman. She is in a, staying in a shelter because she has lost everything. And this is real. This is real. And God love this woman. Here we go. Let's check this out.
Now you're with your children. We've heard of stories of mothers trying to save their children from the rushing waters. Can you tell us how that was?
Through 4 feet of water to go get them food on the first day. Yeah, that's a lot of But y'all sitting here, y'all trying to interview people during their worst times. Like, that's not the smartest thing to do. Like, people are really breaking down, and y'all sitting here with cameras and microphones trying to ask us what the is wrong with us.
So I'm so
and
sorry.
You really trying to understand it with the microphone still in my face, with me shivering cold, with my kids wet, and you still putting the microphone in my face.
How about her? How about her? Thank God. This is the shit I say all the time about the media. The media are vultures. I've worked in the media for years, and they're not knowingly vultures. It's just the methodology of how you create and cover a story over the years has gotten so perverted that it is no longer about actually finding information and giving pertinent information to an audience that, can't be there or isn't aware. No, now it's all about give us the saddest moment, get us some video of people in trouble, and then let's ask them how they feel. The insensitivity, the abject exploitation of people at their worst is what the media does thoughtlessly, without any consideration. I promise you that girl holding the microphone, interviewing this mom who was like, get that fucking thing out of my face. What do you want from me? What do you mean? How does it feel? What the fuck kind of person asked that question? The woman holding the microphone, the woman asking the question. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm saying that when she puts on her reporter hat, she loses all fucking sense, all humanity. Why? Because you default into how you do the story. You see something as a media person, as a reporter, you see something really bad happening. You don't think, let me help the people involved. And no, you think, make sure we get it center squared so that we get good video of this person going through. And again, I don't know that the individual media members doing this are necessarily terrible people. I think they've been conditioned to behave this way. So I'm not saying kill them all. But what I'm saying is that there needs to be more of what we just saw there. Recognition and calling out of the media for what they are pretending is news. That poor woman, that mother, that irate put upon mother who has lost everything, exploiting her personal tragedy so that you can sell fucking Nissans and Lexuses during commercial breaks is absurd. We shouldn't know about that woman. We should just, here's what they should say. They should tell us that all of these things are happening and it's really terrible and it's affected this many people. We don't need a direct face for it. We don't need to actually see someone at their worst being inconvenienced with stupid, intrusive questions by a person who is so numb to the lack of humanity they're displaying. Again, though, I don't know. The actual interviewer may not be a bad person, but do these people even realize what they're doing? Don't ask them that question. Don't bother them. That person is crying. Oh, you see a mother crying with her child in a flood zone after losing everything, and your instinct is to, let's record that and show it to people. That's fucking broken. That's fucking broken. That is a lack of humanity that the media has normalized. And it's one of the reasons that I think we all fucking hate the media. Because of small shit like that. There is no single smoking gun. Oh, they lied about who was president, but that's not a real thing. It's the small exploitations of people for the benefit of the super rich media, the massive companies. That poor woman. Anyway, she's a hero. Good for her. Good for her for calling that bitch out. And again, I don't mean to say she's a bitch. Maybe she's not a bitch. She might be a nice lady. But again, she is numb to it all because when she puts on the reporter hat, she becomes somebody who is completely insensitive and doesn't have any common sense. I am simply looking for the most exploitative thing that I can pull from this interview. Hate it. Oh, here's one. Here's a little sports story. Here's a sports story. So a couple of months ago, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. Local football legend and one of the great sack men of this past era of NFL, Von Miller, has been suspended for 4 games by the Buffalo Bills concerning an incident that he was involved in about a year ago. I know where it happened. I remember when it happened in like the neighborhood that I was living in before. Von Miller is, of course, Garland. Is that where he's from? Is he from Garland? Maybe. What's the place next to Garland that I always get confused? Is it Garland or is that? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I think he's from that area. Plays for the Buffalo Bills, great player, drafted wasn't he drafted like 2nd overall by the Broncos out of A&M? Von Miller's legit. However, he seems to have trouble. Well, we'll just start with what we think he's in trouble for here, because we don't even know if this is what he's been suspended for, because the details are not specific as to this situation. He was suspended for 4 games for conduct unbecoming, is all they're saying, something like that. But a year ago, he beat up his pregnant girlfriend at their Turtle Creek apartment that they share here in Dallas. He beat her up. He smashed her head. There was no arrest or anything because, I don't know, it's Texas and he's Von Miller. Telling you'd be surprised. But yeah, so I think that this stems from that, and Von Miller will miss 4 games 4 games for beating up his girlfriend. I don't know that there are any charges. I think they're back together. The girl that he supposedly became physical with is the mother of 2 of his children already, although he hasn't married her. Don't you marry that chick? I mean, like, okay, so you have one baby, so you have a baby with a chick, and you're like, okay, well, we're still together, and all that, but we're not going to get married because you're just my baby mama, and that's okay. But then you have another baby with her, and you don't go, let's get married, and then she's pregnant again. And you start knocking her around, allegedly, according to early reports from back then. Anyway, Von Miller, suspended 4 games by the Bills. Condom use. Speaking of this, pro football players who ought to be investing more in condom use. Condom use is apparently not a thing anymore. We fixed AIDS. We did. We fixed AIDS. Boy, the golden era of condoms had to have been between 1985 and 2000, 2010. What was the golden age of condoms? Here's what I know. Gen X. So all the other generations that we have to share this existence with, all the other generations, with the exception of Gen X, seem to have these really crazy, experimental sexual ages. The sexual revolution, of course, the baby boomers, hippies having sex in cornfields, and just crazy sex and love and all of that. And then Gen X, but I'll get to us in a minute. And then even after us, we had the millennials. The millennial generation was chicks are kissing chicks now, and apparently butt sex is suddenly on the menu. I mean, it's just, I don't know what's going on with Gen Z. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But here's how Gen X, our generation, fits in the middle of that. We didn't have the crazy chicks kissing each other, lesbian millennial stuff and butt sex stuff. That's millennials. We didn't have the free love, sexual revolution, big, giant, crazy, unkempt bushes and all that. We didn't have that either. The baby boomers had us. Had that. You know what we had? You know what Gen X had? Gen X had AIDS. That's what we had. That's what our sexual coming of age was all about. AIDS. Nobody's having sex. Shutting it all down. An entire generation went blue-balled. Well, condoms became a thing. Condoms became a very big thing for our generation. I mean, I don't know. Am I an old man? Because I'm like, if I got a hot date, I'm going to get a condom. I mean, I still think that way. But again, I had a sexual awakening between the late 80s and the mid-90s. So that's just where I come from. And by the way, my sexual awakening went back to sleep pretty quick. I was like, yeah, okay. I think this is kind of overrated, but that's me. I know I'm weird. I think sex is overrated. I'll say that. I'll have a conversation. It's overrated. There are other aspects of human connection that are far deeper and far more important than simply where the parts fit together. I will die on that hill. But you small brains, you go ahead. You think about it any way you want. Condom use is down for Gen Z. Gen Z isn't using condoms. And you know why? Because did they cure AIDS? I think they cured AIDS. I think they cured everything. Kids are running around today going, there ain't nothing that can happen to me. Because now, syphilis and all that shit, you can just get a shot afterwards and it's fine. There's no concern about, but there are. I mean, there are legitimate concerns about it. But I'm talking about what the mind of the kid. Millennials went nuts. Millennials went absolutely nuts. There was this sort of prohibition on sex for Generation X. So late 80s, early 90s, and all that stuff. That's why we were grungy. That's why we didn't shower. Nobody was having sex. We didn't need to look good. We were wearing torn jeans and dirty flannels, and our hair was long, and nobody took a bath in a week because nobody was having sex. And then Magic Johnson didn't die. Yeah, that's what happened. Millennials. Magic Johnson didn't die. Magic Johnson got AIDS, and Magic Johnson came out and he was like, I got AIDS, I can't do anything. And all of us who had an understanding of what AIDS was at that time, we went, well, he's going to die. Everybody dies with AIDS. That's why our entire generation gave up having sex, because everybody dies with AIDS. And then he didn't die. And then 10 years later, Magic Johnson is dunking at Lakers practice, with the new team and all that. I'm fine. I got better. They invented the AIDS cocktail. And that came about right around the time that the millennials were getting into their sexual prime. And the millennials looked at us, Gen X, and went, hey, we can have sex now. They reopened the floodgates, so we're going to get crazy. Hey, check it out. Chicks are making out now. Hey, we're doing butt sex now. Thanks for telling us about butt sex with the whole AIDS education thing, because now we're doing it. We're doing heterosexual butt sex, something Gen X never had. I mean, I don't want it. Don't get me wrong. But let's be honest, that was never on the menu. That was never on the menu in 1990. 1990, you're doing that. I'm just saying. You're, what are you, from France? What are you, European? That ain't something we do here in America. Now everybody does it. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean? It's more common. Anyway, this is a long conversation for me to say that apparently Gen Z, they're not wearing condoms, and they're not wearing condoms because what's the point? We cured AIDS. They saw how angry we Gen Xers are, having our sexual prime stolen from us by this horrid disease. Nina says, speaking of syphilis, I think that might be Trump's issue. Okay, all right. Barney says, hell, they cured herpes. I think they did. I think they cured everything. I really do. Adam says, you have a small penis. That's why you don't enjoy sex that much. No, trust me. It's got it's jam-packed with all the nerve endings. That's not it. But I see your point. I see that's a very reductive conclusion you came to, thinking, the faulty premise that size must account for the overall pleasure. That's what she said. All right, let's keep going. Condom use is down. Kids aren't using them. I don't even know if my kid knows what a condom is. Oh, God, I don't want to talk sex. I talk sex all the time with my 15-year-old, casually, conversationally. It comes up naturally, and it's like this and that. But I got to figure out a way to work in. Are you using condoms? Because now I'm interested. I don't know what. Okay, so, but I don't even know that he's having sex, right? So that's another. Oh God, I need to get out of this. I need to get out of this conversation. California is passing a new law. They're going to allow Amsterdam-style cannabis cafes. Right now, California, you can go to a dispensary. You can buy your weed, and I guess you go home and you use it or whatever. It's all legal. But what isn't legal there is what was introduced to us before there was any states that legalized marijuana. We all looked at Amsterdam, and we saw depictions of they go there and they walk in and they sit down and they have coffee and they smoke these amazing herbs, and it's all very. So that's kind of what we all imagined, right? But once we started getting legalization, that never happened. There are no cannabis cafes. I think maybe there are something like that in Colorado, but not like in Illinois, not in California, not in New York. So California is now going to allow for cannabis cafes, which so here's how I imagine it as I've read the description. And this is something my people in Chicago will know. In Chicago, there is a business known as a slashy. Okay, it's a purely Chicago neighborhood thing. A slashy is a corner store that is a liquor store in the front where you walk in and you buy your beer and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to drink it, you can walk in the back and there's a bar. So it's like the liquor store, or if you're at the bar and the bar is closing and it's like, all right, you got to leave. You can go into the liquor store and you can buy more beer from the liquor store before they shut the bar down. Anyway, it's known as a slashy. That's what this appears to be, what they're doing in California, because they are going to allow existing dispensaries, liquor stores. It's a weed store, a dispensary. They're going to allow existing dispensaries to now build in a lounge or cafe area, if you will. So that'll be cool, kind of like a slashy. Although I got to be honest, I do not like, this is probably served me well over the years. I do not like to be high in public. Don't like it. Don't like it. So the idea that I can now buy my weed and I can go in the next room and I can sit and I can be around people and I can get high, that doesn't appeal to me. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to drive anywhere. I just want to, it's medicinal, at this point in my life. I needed to relax. I needed to, and I don't want to be around people. I never enjoyed being drugged out. It was only weed. I mean, I don't really do anything else. I mean, I've tried everything once, but only just as an experiment. It's nothing like, big. Heroin. Never tried heroin. Never tried crack. Don't want that. Don't want meth. Don't do those things. Don't take pills. Don't like being high in public is my point. Oddly enough, never really had a problem being drunk in public. Being drunk in public, what are you looking at, fucker? Like, no problem with that, but, just a little bit high. I'm uncomfortable being high in public. Cannabis cafes are coming to Los Angeles. Let's see here. Here's some big fun news. Daniel Day-Lewis has come out of retirement. Daniel Day-Lewis. Bill the Butcher. I love Daniel Day-Lewis. Daniel Day-Lewis is undeniably one of the great actors of ever. He's just not No Country for Old Men. There Will Be Blood. I always get No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood confused because they came out at the same time and they both seem dusty. There Will Be Blood is so good. Drink your milkshake. That is such a good movie. Daniel Day-Lewis is so good in everything. I will even offer Last of the Mohicans as a great underrated Daniel Day-Lewis film. Daniel Day-Lewis, 8 years ago now, I think it was, he retired after making Paul Thomas Anderson's Phantom Thread. The great Daniel Day-Lewis said, I'm done. I'm not going to act anymore. I'm through with the acting. I feel like I've checked all the boxes, and I'm pretty good. They tell me I'm pretty good. Got a whole bunch of awards. That must mean I'm good. So I'm done. And he hasn't acted. And people were like, oh, that's kind of weird that a dude in his prime like that would just stop acting. Well, he's back. He's back, and he's back for one of the coolest reasons possible. Daniel Day-Lewis has announced that he has been added to the cast of what is the new movie? Hold on, I gotta see if I can pronounce this properly. It's a weird. What is the name of the movie? Daniel Day-Lewis is coming out of retirement 7 years after his last movie. The project was announced Tuesday by Focus Features and Plan B. The movie is called Anemone. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. It is capital A, so it's a name of some sort. Capital A, N-E-M-O-N-E. Anemone. Anemone. Who cares? It's the new Daniel Day-Lewis movie. All right, now why is he doing this movie? It also stars Sean Bean. Oh, Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. Love me some Sean Bean. Love me some Daniel Day-Lewis. Really love me some Sean Bean. And British actress Samantha Morton, who's also a really cool actress. But here's why he's coming out of retirement. This movie was written and directed by his kid. That's how awesome is that? I mean, come on. So, I mean, look, I always call out the Nepo babies and all that stuff, but I love dad doing a solid for the kid. So the kid writes a movie. And it's, he writes it and he wants to direct it. He writes the movie and he probably gave it to his dad, Daniel Day-Lewis. And Daniel Day-Lewis looked at it and went, this is a good script, son. Good for you. And then I imagine the kid is like, so I got to get this sold. I got to find somebody who's going to want to invest in this movie. And they're probably not going to want to just invest in this movie. I don't have any stars. This fucking dad goes, I'll do it. I'll do it. You want me to do it? I ain't done anything in 7 years. Might be kind of a big deal if I come out of retirement. Might be a way for you to make some money, getting some producers involved in this, and we get this movie greenlit, and let's go. I love that. I just love the idea that he's coming out of retirement in order to, launch his kid's career. And that's what dads do. That dude is awesome. Now, it'll be extra cool if Daniel Day-Lewis just doesn't do anything after this. Unless the kid has another movie and then suddenly Daniel Day-Lewis is like, I'm retired, except when it means that I can hang out with my kid for 6 weeks on a film set. Because quite frankly, he's busy, I'm busy, I don't see him enough. I mean, I think that's nice. But if Daniel Day-Lewis now, like, is starring in an ABC sitcom in a year, I'm going to be like, okay, maybe he just wanted back in. Maybe he was just... Daniel Day-Lewis is back. Green Day is being banned in Las Vegas. Whole bunch of Las Vegas rock stations are never going to play Green Day again. We're never playing Green Day again. We hate Green Day. Green Day. Nothing more rock and roll. This is if my rock and roll radio station of choice banned an artist, I'd be like, that's not rock and roll, dude. You are not a cool brand. You are a dorky, reactionary brand. And that's, I guess, what we can call all the rock radio stations that have banned Green Day in Las Vegas. Now, why are they banning them? Oh, did Billy Joel get on stage and talk some shit on Trump or Kamala or what? No, that's not what happened. Billy Joel got up on stage and talked some shit. But Billy Joel, and you have to understand, they're a Bay Area band, Green Day. Okay, that's their stomping grounds. And they were doing a show in San Francisco, Green Day, just over the weekend. And Billy Joe, who is a baseball fan, went off on a rant about the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. And he basically talked about how Las Vegas is a shithole. Las Vegas doesn't deserve a baseball team. The people of Oakland deserve their baseball team, all that shit. So it was like, a real baseball thing. Well, they radio stations in Las Vegas, they're babies, they're pussies. They can't handle that. And they decided, hey, man, let's make it into a thing, man, and never play Green Day again. Hey, it'll be good for ratings, man. People will talk about us because we're banning something, man. You're just like that weird old man in those old documentaries about the Beatles. Remember the weird old man in the suit standing next to a flaming garbage can going, we're burning Beatle records. Gleek, gleek, gleek. That dude. That's who you are, program director of the rock station. Stop it. You look at us. We're burning shit. Okay, burn it to make it go away. Does that make you feel better? Green Day's awesome. I like Green Day. I think they're right. I think that... I don't like Las Vegas having sports teams. I don't like it. I mean, I guess I don't really care, but I liked existing in a world where that was just like this bastion of like corruption. And I mean, the argument for Las Vegas having sports teams, it's why they've never had a sports team until the Las Vegas Raiders. The argument was always that it's too much proximity to gambling and way too many opportunities for players to be bought and manipulated and coaxed by big money gambling and all. So, I mean, it's a very legitimate thing. And also, for like a bunch of years, that city was ruled by the mafia. So I could see why they would. And now they got teams there, and I don't know. My theory about I don't think this will affect the Oakland A's, because the Oakland A's will eventually be moving there. I don't think this will affect the Oakland A's, but it's definitely going to always affect the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't believe the Las Vegas Raiders will ever win anything in Las Vegas. They're never going to win anything in Las Vegas. You know why? Because every single home game, how many players, what are the 52 man? So let's say so let's say of the 50 something players, I'm not sure. Did they expand the rosters? Of the 50 something players that are on the Oakland Raiders, every single home game, every single one of those players is going to be entertaining a cousin from back home, a buddy from college. Las Vegas is a destination that everybody you've ever known is going to go, hey, man, I'm coming to a game. You want to hang out? Vegas is an exhausting city to try and be a dialed-in world-class athlete. Look at Henry Ruggs. Dude's there for like 9 months, and he's doing 120 miles an hour, killing people, getting drunk. You think New York City or Los Angeles is a distraction for players? Las Vegas is the ultimate distraction for a 22-year-old with $20 million guaranteed. They're never going to win anything. They're never going to win every Saturday before a home game. They're going to be hanging out with their boys from back home. Oh, Lobato, I got drunk last night. Oh, you're supposed to be in your room at 9 o'clock. I was there, but I was drunk by 4 in the afternoon. Got shit-faced. My boys from college came in because it's Vegas, baby. And they're not going to be like, let's dial it down. No, people are going to come. Your friends are going to come and visit you every goddamn weekend of a home game, and they're going to beat you down, and your players Oakland, the Los Angeles, Las Vegas Raiders. See, I don't even know. They've been so many places. The Las Vegas Raider players are they're never going to win anything. That's what I believe. Let's see. That's it. That's it, folks. We're out. We are done with show. We are done with show. We are done with show. Is there anything else going on? Did the war start yet? Did the World War III start? Oh my God, is it hot in here? Am I sweating? Can you see? And look at the bad lighting. All right, we're going to call this a show. I think we've done enough. Once again, I want to say thank you to our executive producers on today's show, CC of the Sports Bras and Barney. Thank you so much for dropping a tip. If you want to support this kind of talk radio, non-political, just the way talk radio used to be, just a narcissist screaming into a microphone, not getting political, not dwelling on only sports, but just kind of talking about the world as it unfolds before our eyes. We do it every day, Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. We run on your gratuity. So it is Pledge Week. You guys want to help us go for another month? Drop a little something into the Venmo or the Cash App. It would be greatly appreciated. And who knows, the big tipper of today will be tomorrow's executive producer. Help us get to the $215 in 3 shows. That's all we need to raise in order to keep this show going. And if we don't raise that, honestly, that's an indicator that maybe the show is just not meant to be. That's the truth. All right, I love you guys. We're done. It's so hot. The air conditioning in the studio is broken. However, on that same note, the air conditioning back at the house is now fixed. It's very nice back at the house. Oh, Amber Alert. Here we go. This one's coming up. This is the one from yesterday. Isn't this the same one from yesterday that we did? All right, Amber Alert, Hearst, Texas. Missing child is 16-year-old white female Zoe Robotham. Last seen wearing a black T-shirt with white lettering, black shorts, and white shoes. Last seen at the intersection of Bluebonnet Drive and Airwine Drive in Hearst, Texas. She is believed to be traveling on foot. This is the same one as yesterday. Well, okay. Well, maybe they didn't. I guess they didn't find her. That's the one that we read, and I went, okay, this sounds like a runaway. This doesn't sound like, little girl walking to school got snatched up by a dude in a creeper van. This one sounds a little bit more... when she had a fight with mom over her boyfriend, and now she's... Anyway, that's a bummer. Don't want to deal with that. All right, folks, thank you so much. We'll see you back here tomorrow at noon. Like, follow, subscribe, do all of that stuff. We are the Radio Misfits Dallas. Follow us at radiomisfits.com, Radio Misfits on Facebook, podcasts on the platform, YouTube, Radio Misfits, all of that good stuff. Love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 12 p.m. for another rant on all the day's hot topics, current events, and trends. I am Pugs Moran, and I'm done.